Good afternoon, everyone. Professor Kannan, welcome to the program. Welcome to the webinar. I am also seeing Ms. Joyita has also joined. Welcome, Madam. Mr. Rishikesh, welcome to the webinar. Mr. Sajid, I think he is yet to join. And Mr. Sajid, yeah. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Javed Akhtar. I represent Adani Skill Development Center. On behalf of Adani Skill Development Center, I welcome you all in this webinar. So in this webinar, we are trying to find out how technology is going to impact our training space. And for that, we have organized this particular webinar. It has been our pleasure to invite the esteemed panelists from various fields who are working in education sector and training sector. So on behalf of Adani Skill Development Center, I also welcome my team members, my colleagues. I welcome our panelist, Mr. Professor Kannan from IIT Bombay. I welcome Ms. Joyita Das from IBM. I also welcome Mr. Rishikesh from NSDC. Before we proceed and we go ahead, I would like to tell you something about something about our panelists. One more panelist we are expecting. One of the panelists, Mr. Sajid Ali, who has not yet joined because of some reasons. Okay, Sajid, welcome to the webinar. So we have 4 panelists with us. So before we proceed, I would give you a brief introduction about our panelists. I'll start with Ms. Joyita. Joyita has spent significant years in education, CSR, and skilling, and she has been at the intersection of technology and social impact. She has been doing philanthropic and public-private partnership on skilling from high school to workforce development. She has extensive experience in academics. Currently, she is working with IBM as Global Education and Workforce Development Lead. So I welcome you, Joyita, in the webinar. Next panelist is Mr. Sajid. I mean, he is a young Turk social sector professional with 15 years of experience in CSR and sustainability. He has worked in skill development, vocational training, livelihood, health, and nutrition. He has been recognized as young leader in CSR, sustainability, and social impact, and also awarded Mahatma Awards in 2022. He is an alumnus of prestigious Institute of Rural Management, Anand. Welcome, Sajid. Our next panelist is Mr. Rishikesh Patankar. He is an astute professional in ICT with 25 years of experience. He is currently serving as Vice President in National Skill Development Corporation. He is leading the PMKY 4.0, which happens to be world's largest skilling program. Mr. Patankar holds a PhD degree, MTech degree, computer science degree, MPhil degree in IT. He also is in MCA. So I welcome you, Mr. Rishikesh. We also have Professor Kannan from IIT Bombay, long served educationist and education celebrity. He is right now Emeritus Fellow in IIT Bombay. Sir, I welcome you. So, welcome, sir. Thank you very much. So, this is a brief introduction about our panelists. We have tried to have the best of the people to throw light on the topic which we have selected. To going forward now, I request our CEO, Mr. Jatin Trivedi, Adani Skill Development Center's CEO, Mr. Jatin Trivedi, who is leading the organization and also ensuring that the technological innovations which are there in the country and in the world are touching the lives of Adani Skill Development Center people. When I say people, not only the staff people who are working with him closely, but at the center level, the center managers, the trainers, and the trainees. So I request our CEO, Mr. Jatin Trivedi, to go ahead with the opening remarks. Sir.
Thank you very much, Jared. And good afternoon, everyone. A warm welcome to all of you for today's Skill Boost seminar or webinar on innovation and integration of emerging technologies in training methods. It's delightful to see a diverse group of educators, trainers, young professionals here to explore the future of skill development. For those who are unfamiliar, maybe a lot of you, I am Jatin Trivedi, Chief Executive Officer of Adani Skill Development Center, or Saksham as we call it. Saksham is an initiative of Adani Foundation, a CSR wing of Adani Group. Since last 8 years, from 2016, when we started this initiative to train young professionals in India, to make them employable and provide them livelihood opportunities across the nation, we have been dedicated to bridging this skill gap across industries and communities through innovative training solutions. Today's session is close to my heart. It's technology. So integration of technology is always close to my heart, as I've always worked on ICT in education. So today's session on, as we will delve into how emerging technologies like augmented reality, virtual reality, and training simulators can transform the way we deliver education and training. At ASTC, we believe in empowering India's youth by making them skilled, employable, and entrepreneurs. Our initiative, Saksham, is guided by the vision to uplift the social and economic life of citizens by aligning our training program with the needs of the industry. We have successfully trained over 1.55 lakh youth across the nation in 15 states of India, helping them secure sustainable livelihoods. And today's discussion will focus on how we can further enhance this journey with the help of cutting-edge technologies. Technology has always been a great enabler. In today's rapidly evolving world, technologies such as artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and simulators are no longer seen as futuristic. They are here today, and industries are using it. And they are transforming the way we live, we work, and most importantly, we learn. At ASTC, we are integrating virtual reality and artificial intelligence into our training programs and training methods to offer a more immersive, more practical, and more hands-on experiences to our students. Imagine being able to operate a crane or an excavator or a dumper or any heavy motor vehicle or any simulator for manufacturing process, or learn patient care virtually before even stepping into the real world. This is where the virtual reality and simulators come into play, offering students an environment where they can experiment, fail, learn, and relearn, all without the constraints of physical world, enhancing the security and safety of the students and in the real world environment, so issues which they may face without using technology. Artificial intelligence, on the other hand, is revolutionizing the personalization of education. By analyzing data and creating business dashboards, AI can customize learning pathways for students, ensuring that they receive the right training based on their skills and accordingly progress towards their success. For trainers and educators, AI tools can help in monitoring students' performance and identifying areas that need improvement in real time. Practical examples from ASTC. Let me share a couple of examples from our own initiatives at ASTC. We have introduced VR-based training programs for sectors like construction, smart metering, and healthcare. Our students now have the opportunity to learn how to change smart meters, operate cranes or forklifts, conduct domestic electrical wiring activities, and understand the needs of patient care with VR. VR helps nursing students practice complex procedures in virtual setting before they interact with patients. We also use simulators for skills like welding, where trainees can practice virtually before handling any real equipment, and they achieve 95 to 97% of accuracy on virtual environment or augmented environment and then go on a physical training program. And we have seen the results that after achieving 97% of accuracy on the machine, they achieve 92 to 95% of accuracy on the real world. This not only saves cost, but also enhances the safety and precision in the training process. Concluding and handing over remarks, we will have a panel discussion where our panel members will dive deeper into practical applications of these technologies. I'm sure you'll gain valuable insights into how VR, artificial intelligence, and simulators are already making a difference in various sectors, and how you too can leverage these tools to enhance your own training programs. As we move from Industry 4.0, where focus was communications between machines, towards Industry 5.0, where the technology is built from Industry 4.0, but the focus is human-centric and machine communications to help workers. The integration of technology into learning and development will not be optional. It will be essential and mandatory. The future belongs to those who can adapt, innovate, and learn continuously. Learn continuously and learn fast to adapt new technologies on parallel to the technological innovations. Emerging technologies give us the power to scale our efforts, reach more learners, and make education more inclusive, more accessible, and more impactful. And that too, little faster. And in the long run, it becomes cost effective as well. Before I close, I want to emphasize the importance of staying ahead of the curve. I encourage all of you to explore these new technologies and think about how you can integrate them into your work. This webinar is just the beginning of the conversation. We at ASDC are committed to working with you to co-create innovative solutions that will drive the future of skill development in India. Thank you for your time today. I hope you find this webinar insightful and actionable. Let's continue to collaborate and push the boundaries of what's possible in L&D. Thank you all once again and for taking out time to shape the future of learning and development with innovation and emerging technologies in training methods. Thank you very much. And I welcome all the participants, all the panelists, and having a fruitful discussion with you all. Thank you very much. Over to you, Javed.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your insights. We really look forward to have more innovations and more creative things from you in our organization. Yeah, surely. Thank you, madam. We will do so. So now we have one distinguished personality with us who happens to be our executive director. Before I request him to share the insight, I would like to give a small introduction of Mr. V.S. Gadvi. Mr. Gadvi is a distinguished former IS officer who served as the State Chief Information Commissioner at the Gujarat Information Commission. Currently, he is the Executive Director of Adani Skill Development Center, where his leadership continues to drive impactful initiatives. As a captivating speaker, Mr. Gadvi frequently engages with audiences on various platforms, sharing his knowledge and experiences. He also serves as the chairman of the advisory board of the Ahmedabad International Literature Festival, contributing to the promotion of literary arts. With a career that blends public service, literature, and education, Mr. Vasant Gadvi remains a prominent figure in both government and cultural circles. Mr. Gadvi is also a passionate advocate of folk literature and has a profound interest in music and literature. He is a regular columnist for 4 Gujarati dailies for last more than a decade now, sharing his insight through engaging articles. His work has been compiled into a publishing book reflecting his deep understanding and appreciation of Gujarati culture. Sir, we welcome you and we request you to share your insight and guide us.
Thank you very much, Javed. Let me say at the outset that it gives me immense pleasure when this very valuable webinar I also joined my colleague, Sri Jatin Trivedi, in welcoming you all. I was told that more than 1,000 persons have already registered for this webinar. That shows that all of us are really looking forward for the exchange of notes and for the interlearning. ASDC, oh, as Jatin Bhai said, is 7-8 years journey, but there are a lot of achievements to its credit. But if somebody asks that what is the big achievement, I won't say that they have taken national and some international award also, but I will say that they have reached to the unreachable. They are working in the different parts of the country where the success is comparatively less, prevalence of education is comparatively challenging, and also there are many gaps as far as the development is concerned. We have joined hands with the various state governments. We have also joined hands with the Government of India and National Skill Development Corporation in enhancing the gap between the need of the skilled manpower and the availability of the skilled manpower, which, as I see it, and you will agree, is a challenge to the nation. Let me specially mention that ASTC and all of us are very grateful to all those distinguished personalities, distinguished panelists who have taken time out of their busy schedule to agree to be here. This kind of thought sharing in a day-to-day evolving activity is not only the desirable, but I would say it is must. We should continuous dialogue, develop a common understanding for the betterment of this sector. We should have continuous dialogue to do something better for youth across the country. And therefore, I would urge upon ASDC that at regular intervals, if we can organize such webinars and create a culture of thought sharing so that at the end of the day, all of us get the best and benefit out of it. Dear colleagues, with the changing of time, the systems and processes have also to change. Who knew that our schools will be running on digital platform? Before Corona, it was not just even in our dreams. We could never imagine that the trains will stop running. Certain things which happen is quite unpredictable. So while this thought process takes place, we also try to generate the alternatives effort, alternatives those we build to address any crisis in the area. We are the youngest nation in the world if you consider the youth population of India today and for at least for next 3 to 4 decades we will continue to be so. And therefore the challenge that how do we engage the youth in the most productive way, in a very humble way. ASDC is with all sincerity trying to address this issue. At the same time, as per the vision of Adani Skill Development Center, we also take for take care of all those whose upliftment or whose upskilledness is required. They don't have much resources in terms of knowledge, in terms of accessibility, in terms of their competence to reach, but they are all bright. We try to take them on board. They may be from the tribal area, they may be from far off areas, they may be differently abled people. Our focus is also equally on them so that at the end of the day we feel satisfied to serve all those who really need some warmth, some assistance from the society at large. I'm sure that we can continue this process on a long term basis. I will also appreciate if some of us can meet at comparatively shorter period of time and brainstorm for the betterment of the sector, for the advocacy to be presented before the governments, that we also become part of the process which leads to the skill development in general to further heights. I'm sure that we should be able to do it if we all speak in a one voice, if we are all on the same page. For those who are the trainers or for those who are the students, I I have a word of a great hope for them. Please be sincere and focused in this area, and the future is yours. SDC is also whatever little part it is supposed to play. This is a beginning of a long-term thought process which may go until little longer time also, and thought sharing ultimately may lead us to the better solution. I have a word of compliments for my entire team for organizing, for taking all the pains in organizing this seminar. I am also thankful from the bottom of my heart for all the distinguished panelists and all those who have preferred confidence in us and get themselves registered for this webinar. With these words, once again, I extend my warm welcome to all of you and convey my thanks for being with us. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for these valuable inputs. We seek your guidance always, and I hope with the help of progressive talks and thoughts like yours, our young country will definitely do better, not only in general, but especially in technology also. Thank you very much, sir, once again. So now we move forward and we come to our panelists. We now be discussing the agenda, what we have decided in our discussions. Before I ask questions to my panelists, I request all of you to write your questions in the chat box. So we will take question answers after the discussion among the panelists. And if you have any question, you can please write down in the chat box that we will collate, and then we will have a question answer session, and those questions will be answered. So to start and to set the ball rolling, I request Mr. Rishikesh. I hope he has the option of unmute, and he can also show his face to us. Sir, if you can switch on your camera, Mr. Rishikesh.
Good evening. It's already on. You can see me.
Okay, yeah, welcome, Mr. Rishikesh. So my first question to you is, how do you see the technology role in the training methods? So since you have been working in this ICT sector and you are a specialist in IT, so I request you to please go ahead and tell us something about this.
Yes, thank you, Javed ji. First of all, Mr. Vasant Gadve ji, Dr. Kannan, Joita ji, Sajid ji, thank you so much for inviting me to this webinar where we are talking about the fourth generation revolution technologies, specifically virtual reality. In fact, uh, these kind of technologies are close to my heart, and we have been working close to many years on the fourth generation revolution technologies, because as we know, most of the industrial revolution, India has not been able to contribute. The first revolution, the first industrial revolution, the second revolution, the third revolution, and in fact, in the fourth generation technologies and the fourth industrial revolution, I think India is way ahead of many countries in all the domains. Coming back to the question, I'll just give a brief background about the whole skilling ecosystem. So I come from National Skill Development Corporation, and we are a part of the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. Largely, we implement two flagship programs of the ministry. One is the Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana 4.0 and Pradhan Mantri Vishwakarma scheme. So Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana 4.0 is a aspiring skilling scheme because it is being provided to all the age groups in different areas across the country, length and breadth of the country. PMKVY 4.0, because of its vast uh, uh, insight and a lot of number of job roles and a number of candidates, it has become one of the world's largest skilling programs in the recent years. Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, in fact, also focuses on the future skills. A lot of focus is on the future skills, and out of 3,000 odd job roles which are available, I think 200 plus purely focuses on future skills, and uh, most of the skillings are happening in the educational institutions. They are happening in engineering colleges. They are happening in private training centers. They are happening at some of the leading NGOs. So it's a mix of various stakeholders who have been part of this initiative. In fact, the National Council for Vocational Education and Training, which is a regulator in the skilling ecosystem, provides the vision and the mission for the skilling, and awarding bodies, the assessment agencies work under the National Council for Vocational Education and Training. Apart from that, Director General Training, which takes care of ITIs, industrial training institutions, polytechnics, as well as private ITIs, are a big ecosystem, because most of our youth who have been out of school, or those who couldn't pursue their other educational courses, they did ITIs and polytechnic degrees and so on and so forth. So ITIs have been a big ecosystem and supplying skilled manpower to our industry, specifically in manufacturing and many other areas. National Skill Development Corporation is an implementing agency for different programs across different ministries. So we work both with central government, state government, the state skill missions, and many other departments and industries, including we have some programs in the international domain as well. In the skilling ecosystem, there are total 36 sector skill councils. So these are the 36 sectors which have been identified by Government of India. And for each sector, there is a sector skill council which has been identified. So the major work of sector skill council is to bring the industry into the skilling part. The second is to uh, basically conduct the skill gap study. So that what Vasant sir was saying about the skill gap, I think this becomes very important because industry wants something and the training institutions are giving skills or teaching skills to the candidates. But the industry says that the skill doesn't match with what the demand is. So there is continuously a demand and supply gap, and these skill gap studies basically identify what is the demand and what should be the supply. So sector skill councils under the ministry, under NSDC, they have a very specific role in order to identify these skill gaps. So there are multiple in different sectors. There are different skill gaps which are there. And there are a lot of skill gap reports which are available at the district level also. So for the candidates information, if you are, say, for example, from Agra district, or you are from Kolkata, or you are from maybe Hoshangabad in Madhya Pradesh, or you are from Nandurbar in Maharashtra, you will be able to access these skill gap reports, that what kind of industry is working in those districts, what kind of industry is working in your state, and what kind of jobs would be available in next 5 years. So this will give you a lot of insight about how the job market is coming up, what kind of FDI is available, foreign direct investment is coming into a particular state. For example, Gujarat does Gujarat summits. Invest UP was just conducted, and similarly, various other states also do such activities. So I think a lot of industry, government is collaborating, and this will give you an insight about the job opportunities which are available. Apart from that, coming back to Javedji, your question about the role of virtual reality. I think virtual reality is one of the technology in this fourth industrial revolution, and it has tremendous scope actually. As Jatin Trivedi ji, CEO of Adani, was saying that you have been using VR and other technologies in the area of construction sector, healthcare sector, and many other sectors. I think these sectors are evolving because there's a lot of precision work which you need to do, and these technologies surely help a novice candidate, in order to brush up the skills so that they when they are at a threshold, or they achieve a standard, then they can actually pursue it practically. So I think this virtual reality technology as such is very important, and we are seeing its growth in different sectors, not only in construction, healthcare, and the other industries, but in logistics. I think then in sports, in engineering domain, in various other sectors. Aerospace is one example. In fact, for the drone pilot training, there is something called as the simulator, which is there. So that training is also happening on a virtual solution, and then the drone pilots are given actual drones to fly. And a lot of airline pilots are also recently being trained on simulators so that they can simulate the whole environment, and then they go and actually fly a aircraft. So where there are mission critical systems, I think it becomes very important that the candidates are skilled onto some of these technologies before they take up the practical usage of that particular example. So there are a lot of use cases which are available, and with the recent Niti Aayog report, the announcements which have happened in the budgets, there is a lot of tremendous scope in the fourth industrial revolution technologies, not only in VR, but in other areas like cloud computing, additive manufacturing, AI, deep learning, and all that. And I believe in next 5 years, there will lot of use cases which will be available for general user. So as a candidate, as a student, as a faculty, I think it becomes very important that we understand and use VR and various other technologies in our teaching and training methods so that candidates are hands-on with it and they can actually perform on the ground. So with this, Javed, I will stop here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Rishikesh, for your insight. Thank you very much for throwing light on the skill ecosystem, and I am sure that the people who are listening to these things will definitely gain a good knowledge and insight. So thank you for telling us about VR, virtual reality, and simulators, activities which are being taken care by and which are being used by the skill development people. Now I request Mr. Kannan, so kindly throw some light. I mean, sir, Mr. Rishikesh talked about the VR and simulators. So, sir, my question would be to you: how does it I mean, how do you think it can be implemented, and what are the challenges can be there if we talk about implementing the VR in our training methods, or let us say simulators, or and when not other technologies? So how do you overcome those challenges, and what are they?
Okay, thank you. Happy to be here. Joita ji, Rishikesh ji, Yatin ji, Sajid ji. Really happy to be here with you all. I will give a brief background about the work that we are doing so that then the context becomes clear. With MHRD support, we started a project called Spoken Tutorial 15 years ago. And it is a way of, it's a pedagogy. It is also an educational product. The USP of that is it is created for self-learning, guaranteed for self-learning. So we have a process that validates that. And then we dubbed the spoken part in all 22 languages. In fact, we started this in 2009 itself, long before NEP came into place. And then we also make it usable offline so that even those who don't have internet access can use it. Just to give an example, we could conduct a workshop in Myanmar, Burma 4 years ago, where electricity itself was a challenge, forget about internet, okay? And in fact, all our workshops took place in darkness. We train, because of this, we train about 8 lakh students a year. We have trained about 80 lakh students in the last 10 years. We have, we train only with open source software because that is what is accessible to everybody. In fact, the mandate given to us was, can we provide IT skills and improve the employment potential of students, especially those belonging to the bottom of the pyramid, because those at the top of the pyramid have everything. Students of IITs, NITs, top government colleges, BITS Pilani, Jadavpur University, they all have everything. What about the tier 2, tier 3 colleges, tier 4 colleges? Can we help them? Also, can we help government schools? Can we help the schools? So we have a team that works with schools. We have a team that works with colleges. And that's how we have reached that number. One amazing thing that came out of this training was that the confidence level of the students trained through this method increased tremendously. That is something that we didn't plan for, because the students say, I learned it myself. Nobody taught me. I'm capable of learning. The moment they get that confidence, they can do anything. Internet has everything. Okay. Only thing is people need confidence. Our target section doesn't have that confidence. That is the biggest challenge in all our skilling program. If you want to skill 500 million people, what is the most important requirement? I would say, can you simultaneously give self-confidence that they can actually learn by themselves? They are capable of learning. The moment we give that, then I think half the work is finished, maybe 75% of the work is finished. So that is something that I believe that spoken tutorial gives, because it is guaranteed for self-learning. It doesn't come easily because it is easier to produce an NPTEL course. I was in charge of NPTEL. I was in charge of our CD distance education program at IIT Bombay for many years. And those are a lot easier because you can always invite an expert and ask them to deliver a lecture, record them and give it to people. That is a lot easier. But here, to make sure that something is suitable for self-learning is a lot more difficult. I would say 10 times more difficult. But the moment you do that, you are able to train a lot of people. Now, regarding the utility of, let's say, something like simulator or VR, or what is the main objective of this? I would say that can be reduced, especially in a country like ours, which is human intensive, which has a lot of human capital, but we have a lack of capital, that is cash, finances. Okay, in that we find it difficult to establish physical laboratories and so on and so forth. Can we do that through a software? It could be VR, it could be simulator, whatever it is. Can we reduce the number of actual rigs required to 1/10? In other words, can the students get 90% of that experience, actual experience, through simulator and only 10% through the actual one? It is important because we don't have resources. Many of our schools, colleges, and so on don't have enough resources to give enough hands-on time to everybody. So if only we can do that, and the students can get a one-to-one connectivity, saying that whenever they do the VR, whenever they do the simulator, they immediately recall the actual hands-on experiment that they did. Immediately they connect and it becomes real life experience. So if we can do that, that is what is required, and that will allow us to use the existing resources to train a lot more people effectively. I think we actually extended this spoken tutorial into health spoken tutorial, and in the newborn nutrition. And in fact, we have found our methods. Now they are used in about 15 districts officially by the district administration. The malnutrition levels are coming down significantly. So I'm going to stop here. It's the same idea. Can we give confidence? Can we create something suitable for self-learning and do this for all technologies? Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We wish you continue your innovation and creative work, and the number of districts goes beyond 15 to maybe 40, 50, and more than that. We wish you good luck. Thank you very much, sir, for your insight. So now I come to my next panelist, Ms. Joyita. Joyita, you have worked in CSR. You also have a lot of experience in education and skilling. So in our audience, we have trainers. We also have trainees who are listening to all of us. So my question to you is a question which has come from ground. So how, in these scenarios of changing technologies, how trainers can keep up with this rapidly changing environment which we have now? So technology is changing very fast. What do you say?
Thank you, Javed, and hello, everyone. I think the landscape, the culture scape, and the future has been really put forward here, almost like a vision here. And it is again back to us to make that work, right? Again, back to each one of us when we are talking of, when Professor Karan says, self-paced learning. So the ownership becomes on the learner. My experience, with really learning at different levels, there are a few things that I can really share. Starting with a country which is probably, it has already been mentioned, fifth largest economy with so many young learners, trainers. The trainers have to understand today and accept it, you know, that they are not the only source of learning and stimulation for a young learner or a learner in the high school, higher education, or even someone who is looking for a job. There are so many ways of learning, so many different methods, that is kind of getting inundated. Everybody has to process. So what happens then? Obviously one can take a leap through pedagogy. That's massive. Curriculum changes, some are very old, some needs refresh. I think all of that is great, but what about the context of quick learning and getting into the workforce, right? Um, so you know, there are 5 elements that the national education policy said, right? Um, and they were mainly put across how it could be digital learning, how it could be, learner-centered learning, how all the partnership can be brought together, the industry, academia, how the research orientation can come. And time and again, I think, we've been told that we are not great as a nation as far as research is concerned, and the teachers can contribute so much there. And of course, the India knowledge system and internationalization of the same. What can be learned from global best practices from the industry or the government or models, and the teachers have adopted. It's the most important thing is if the teachers acknowledge that we can do the cross learning, as Gadgeji mentioned before. They should not have that attitude that, okay, I'm here and someone's here, right? So if this is on, when a job is of equal opportunity, I think learning also should be of that, and that acceptance probably is something that we can really look at, along with the teachers and our trainers. What they, can bring is all these different pedagogies and andragogies and all kinds of things that, self-learning, short. But what the teachers can bring, and trainers can understand and bring that forth, is the attention span. While we are talking of self-paced learning, IBM has really has a proven model, I would say, for a platform led learning, right? We have millions and millions of learners, and our chairman and CEO of IBM has said that we need to train 30 million learners by 2030. Now, only self paced learning is probably not something that will that will be there, unfortunately. And it's a weird thing to say that while we are saying all of this, this skill is important, and learning, role based learning is important, pedagogy shift is important, some of these skills may not fit some of the jobs because those jobs don't exist in the future, right? So there are various reports. I'm not going to get into that, but what the trainers can, and the teachers, and all the facilitators, faculty, and the entire community of learners there together can do is really understand more of 2 3 important things, which today the World Economic Forum says the top 2 3 skills, amongst the top 2 3 skills that all of us need is self management, problem solving, critical, you know, thinking, collaboration. None of this is going away as human centered, capability. We talked about human capability, and all of that. So problem solving together through the new emerging technologies with something like cybersecurity, right? All of that can be created once we connect with the real world problem and try embedding some of these, emerging technologies. So I would say we have a policy, we have a landscape, we have all the roles. It is really to understand how simply, with the changing landscape of teaching and learning, how quickly can we really motivate, educate, We'll talk about digital badges and credentials in a bit, probably how the futuristic learning can shape us and shape the workforce better. Javed?
Thank you very much. Joyita, you have really, first of all, thank you for bringing one more aspect of what is required in terms of learning when we talk about some skills, for development, and connecting those one of the skills problem solving to the technology. Thank you for that connection. So, thank you for the insight. Now, I move on to my next panelist, Mr. Sajid. Sir, I have a question to you. We have been talking about technology, we have been talking about virtual reality, and also simulators. So I would like to specifically ask from you and your experience. You have been working in CSR sector and vocational training sector. What are the key benefits of using simulators for the vocational training?
Thanks, Javed. But before I come to simulator, what Joita said is interesting point on learning. Now, I remember my days of, again, I was doing my MBA in Gujarat in Anand. So every student have a specific and peculiar way of learning, not just in primary school, in school level, college level, everywhere, even in IITs. Professor Kannan would also have experienced. So how do we learn? Again, same theories: learning by doing, learning by seeing, learning by experience, learning by listening. And unfortunately, I was one of the students who never understood anything in classroom. Best of the best professors were not able to teach me anything because my style of learning was learning by reading. So I will understand only when I read. And back then in our days, we don't have many options. Either it is book or we have a professor from where you can access the content. But now you see, Joita said, onus lies on the learner now. I agree to that because you have variety of content. If you are a learner who learns by doing, then you have simulators in place. You have all those experiment labs in place. If you are somebody who learns by seeing, then you have virtual reality in place. You have PowerPoint presentations. If you are somebody who has learning a style of listening, then you have all kind of podcasts and ebooks in place. So there is everything for every kind of learner now, and there is no a reason to say that I can't learn because I can't understand things in the classroom. But slightly differing from what Joita said, onus lies on teacher also or a trainer also to use these tools effectively and not just on the learner. So thank you, Joita, for bringing that point up. Coming back to simulators, Javed, Professor Kannan and also Rishikesh briefly touched upon benefits of simulator. One, definitely, we all know that we can create close to real life scenarios when we use simulators. They provide immersive hands-on experience that help learners to retain information, which has been a problem with all the students across the globe. Retention of the information has been always difficult after a certain point in your learning journey. And this also helps in effective application of skills in real world scenarios. But the best part of simulators is, Jatin briefly touched upon it, they offer a safe space and risk-free environment, injury-free environment, not just practice, but also gives space for a learner to make mistakes, right? Without having real life consequences, like I'm not injuring anyone, I'm not damaging a machine, which is very, very expensive. So the fear goes out when you are working on a simulator. And then I think Mr. Rishikesh said about it. Simulators are really, really effective and valuable in risk-free, in high-risk professions like healthcare, aviation, driving, professions like forklift operator. Forklifts are very expensive these days and can be extremely damaging if you directly sit on the forklift. So we have a virtual reality simulator where you can actually drive a forklift while standing anywhere in your classroom. So these are the kind of innovations that are coming up. And definitely the learning process has to be interactive and fun through simulators, because definitely the simulator will not shout back at you if for making mistakes like your teacher would at times if you make same mistakes again and again. Also, from assessment point of view, you get real time and instant feedback, which is not possible in any scenario if it is not driven by machine or technology. So this allows learners to understand their mistakes. One was to make mistakes, and now to understanding the repetitive mistakes that they have been making. And third level is to correct the mistakes on the spot. They get real time feedback. So this is very effective for real time assessment also. To give you example, we are using simulators in healthcare. We use those high fidelity mannequins, and definitely I can't expect a learner to experiment directly on a patient, right? So nowhere in world that happens. That's why in healthcare the degrees and the diplomas are having longer duration than any other sector. MBBS is also 5 years, while other degrees are 4 years. So we realize the importance of directly interacting with a patient or human being in this profession. So they learn on mannequins and simulators that imitate exactly like a patient would react. If you do anything wrong with that mannequin, it will react exactly the same way a patient would have reacted or a human being would have reacted. It cries in the same manner, it shouts you back in the same manner. So which makes the entire learning process very realistic without harming any individual. And then simulators also come handy in scenarios where law is very strict. For example, in healthcare, we have ultrasound, which is ultrasound machines. Now to train somebody on ultrasound, you got to have ultrasound machine. To install the ultrasound machine, you need to have clearance because of PNDT Act, which prohibits sex selection and determination. To control that, there are very strict regulations in installation of ultrasound machines. Similarly, if you want to train somebody on X-ray, let's say a diploma in X-ray, you got to have a lead lining around your lab, for which again you need approval from atomic regulatory board because a lot of radiations are there. So simulators safeguard you from laws also. You don't get into unnecessary legal trouble, apart from various teaching learning benefits. This is on simulator, Javed, from my side.
Oh, excellent. Beautifully explained, Sajid. Thank you very much. I hope the people who are listening to you would have got a great insight. And it very rightly said, when we have critical operations like healthcare sector, or drone flying, or aeroplane flying, or crane operations, simulators play a very big role. I mean, no injury and no risk. I mean, that is something what is the biggest benefit we have using simulators. So thank you, Sajid. I come back to Rishikesh sir for sharing some experiences related to artificial intelligence. So we have discussed about virtual reality, we have discussed about simulators, and we all know that AI has changed our lives. You have Chat GPT, you have Synthesia, you have Lumen 5, you have Podcastle, and many more applications. So, sir, what do you say? How uh, how has this impacted our lives? And would you be sharing some examples of successful AI intervention in education?
Yeah, thank you, Javed for this. I think artificial intelligence has been part of our life, but recently it has come into greater focus. But I think a lot of researchers way back from 1960s and 70s, including professors at IITs, have been researching on AI and natural language processing. Dr. Kannan works on the spoken tutorial that is also kind of a language model which he's doing, and many other researchers which have been using this technology I think last 20, 25 years. I believe there are a lot of examples, but I just heard about Sajid ji, who was saying that it is difficult to learn without reading a particular book. He was not able to understand in a classroom. I think so. I completely agree with him because in Indian scenario, what I believe is there are 40, 50, 60 students in a classroom, and each student's understanding of a particular subject is very different. Some of the students are mediocre, some of the students are poor. They are not able to cope up, or they are not able to question the teacher also. And some of the students are experts, so they even do not need the teacher. And there is only one teacher. So it becomes very difficult for one teacher to teach so many people with so much different background, so much different lefts and right brains being used. and all of us have similar brains. So why some students do very well and some others are mediocre and some remain poor? So I think that is a question of research. But I think AI in that sense has been very useful in educational system actually. If you see some of the marine US Marines, they have been training on AI tools, which is using personalization. So personalization, I believe now it has come into our edtech space also, and the adaptive systems which have come, I think they adapt to a candidate space and a candidate's understanding of a particular topic. So, for example, if the teacher is teaching a concept of triangle, for example, scalene triangle or isosceles triangle or equilateral triangle, and there might be different ways of learning these different types of triangles. So this personalization tool will actually provide those kind of tutorials to the poor candidate or a mediocre candidate so that the candidates come to a particular threshold so that they are able to perform better and then they pass the threshold. That is how we assess that particular candidate. So these systems have been very useful in order to identify where exactly the candidate is weak. For example, in JEE or NEET or some other exams, where students do very well in a particular topic or a subtopic, these adaptive systems have been helpful for the teacher or the assessor to find out in which topic or in which area or module the students are weak, and then they work on that particular problem and they solve it. So I think this personalization is one big example which is being used in the education system. Apart from that, there are various prediction tools which are used now in fintech space and banking space. We have been seeing the fintech revolution from last 7 8 years in our country, and I believe AI systems which have been used to churn the data and find out exactly based on the historical data or the legacy data which is there, and we can rightly point what could be the future in terms of markets or stock prices or many other things, including the data which basically gets generated in a company and so on and so forth. Similarly, in banking also, AI has a big role and various applications are there. I think natural language processing in vehicles, we are seeing the ADAS system, which is currently in many high-end cars, which are connected cars. So these cars are actually able to identify the braking and identify a pattern of driving and so on. So I think AI has now been part of our system in various other use cases you will find. Autonomous vehicles is one other example. In fact, what NSDC and Ministry is doing is we generally conduct the India Skills Program and then the World Skills Program, where all these high-end technologies are made to use. So there are a lot of students who work on these autonomous robots and autonomous vehicles who do these experiments and they do it practically over there. I believe with such innovation happening in different areas, including finance, data security, marketing, banking, automobile, social media, chatbots, I think there is a big revolution which is happening in AI, and the limit is, I think it is unlimited and infinite. So there are a lot of use cases and applications, and happy to contribute to that. Thank you. Thank you so much, Javed.
Oh wow, oh wow, Rishikesh, thank you very very much. See, I'm thinking a lot of things, a lot of follow-up questions are coming in my mind, but we have time constraint. But one thing which is surely coming in my mind, that we will be seeking your advice, and we will also seek your guest lectures in our AI courses which we are running right now in our centers. So, I mean, you have, I think, touched all the critical areas where the AI is touching our lives. So, looking forward to have some deep and big lectures from you. Thank you very much. So, Professor Kannan, now I come to you. So, I mean, uh, you have been, as Mr. Rishikesh very rightly said, AI was there, but the emphasis has now increased with various new applications and utility. So, I would like to know from you, sir, how trainers can use AI to provide real-time feedback to their learners. I mean, how it can intervene and do it for trainers, the real-time feedback of their learners.
Yeah, thank you, Javed ji. Actually, Rishikesh ji has covered quite a few things. I don't have too much to add. Um, what is done in education? I mean, actually, we have seen these things in a smaller way. Even when you buy things in Amazon, it comes and tells you, okay, maybe you want to buy this product. Okay, in a similar way, if somebody is learning from YouTube, if it can come and say, look, perhaps you should do this. Maybe you have been watching this. This kind of thing may be very helpful. In other words, on almost any, you have a collection of things that you offer to students, you put it on top of it as an advisor's role. By the way, I want to point out the difference between self-learning and self-paced learning. Self-paced learning means somebody learns on their own, at their own time. Instead of going to class for 1 hour, they take 4 hours to learn. But there is no guarantee that they will learn in a self-paced learning if the subject matter is difficult. So when you say guaranteed for self-learning, that means the content is suitably given so that they can learn there anytime. Whether do it fast, slow, doesn't matter. If I give some very difficult subject, there is no way. So in other words, if you say, most of the videos they say, you come to my level, then you can learn. Is there anything that says that I will go to students level and teach you? I believe that AI can do that. To a smaller extent, we are doing it through spoken tutorial because it is guaranteed for self-learning. To answer your question, Javed ji, I think this is the important thing. If there is a way to assess what the students know, and one is in the assessment that Rishikesh ji pointed out, but also in learning itself. Can we assess, can the system assess so as to help the students to learn, not just to assess and say that this is an amazing thing, what did you learn? Maybe you will like it. And, that will be a great contribution. Thank you, Javed.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your insight. Now, I mean, as we are moving forward, having some more discussions and discussion and insights on the various usage of tools which we use in new technology, emerging technologies. Now, I move on and ask my next question to our panelist, Ms. Joyita. So, what are the best practices for integrating AI, artificial intelligence, into existing training programs? So we know what are the what are the various AI tools what we have. Rishikesh dwelled upon that. So how do you see the integration?
So again, we go back to, a lot of learning frameworks that are there. Just as, artificial intelligence is not really new, it's been there since the 50s and, of course, evolved over decades. Different learning and teaching models have also evolved. Mainly, I can say that there are 2, 3 different um, models that we can experiment with for artificial intelligence in integrating them. One which could be a very, very rigorous, but we are very proud to say that yes, we've done it in India, and to do that as an in-school sort of integration. And AI, the way it's positioned is AI is for all. AI is not for just the science and math teachers in school. The music teachers, sports, humanities, everyone, commerce, all subject matters, experts and teachers can come together and learn. What was interesting in this, in school model was not only just AI for all, but also, having to play with different elements of, making data and sort of getting them to understand in a level. for a school student, right? And of course, at the same time, training the teachers. So we introduced something for grades 11 and 12th with CBSE, Central Board for Secondary Education. And, one of my favorite, which I think is getting a lot of, you know, feedback from the teachers, is where learners, students in a classroom transaction, is having fun, where they're talking about data and storytelling, and a story can evolve out of a problem that they see locally or globally, and then they use the chatbots or any of these other elements and assistants that can create a solution, to the point that the teachers are happy that certain skills are then done. So in school, out of school, of course, there are many informal models you can do, again, self-paced learning, and several platforms offer it for free, offer it for fee, and all of that. And what is very, very interesting is some of these are coming as more value proposition, in the form of what is it that is important for me. And that is the credentials, the digital credentials that is coming up, the badges upon conclusion or completion of a particular learning plan, right? If a learner or a teacher is using that as a self-paced module in any environment. And we'll talk about probably the delivery later, the learning delivery and the models. But the micro credentials, the nano credentials, and different models that we see globally and in India. I think Rishikesh mentioned about the National Council for Vocational Education Training, all the kinds of, regulations, recognitions that are provided to us, the TVT models, whether that is state regulated or a liberal market model, or something like a dual sort of, a recognition model in Germany that has been used, that we all use as examples. So, of course, again, in keeping with the demands, we've got to keep changing rapidly as learners, as a society, as institutions, as collaborative thinking. So we've got to kind of understand that all these different models, Sajid can use them, and in skill centers, Jatin can use them, and Javed, you and the team can use them in different short-term courses, and the students can benefit by some of these certificates, which will help them hopefully, get better placed with all the accreditation and certification, better placed in a workforce. So all these integrations are different examples, Javed.
Oh, wow, great insight. So, I mean, you also touched the learning with fun, and definitely gaming and AI can help, students learn very fast, and that too in a very fun environment. Thank you very much. So, change is the only constant, but we have the tendency to resist the change. So, I would now go to our panelist, Mr. Sajid, to answer this question. So, what are the challenges organizations can face when they try to integrate the technologies? I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
one definitely you answered in your question also, Javed. But cost, from my experience, is very high for especially in emerging technologies, and especially in case of not-for-profit training organizations like we are, maybe like what you guys are. It is difficult for organizations to embrace technology. And another thing is technology is changing very fast. You buy iPhone 14 and you will realize after 2 months that iPhone 15 is already out in the market, right? So you never know when your investments in the technology may go waste. So if you got to start and use technology in your classroom, then you have to start it right now. Don't wait for the new technology to come in, because if you wait, then new technology will come in and again you will be confused. So high chances you might have a better option next year, or maybe after 2-3 years. We heard about Jatin also in his introductory remark mentioned about virtual reality and augmented reality. But now we have already started listening about mixed reality and extended reality, which is one level up. So now organizations are still struggling to include virtual and augmented reality. So now, as a training organization, should I get confused whether I wait for mixed reality and extended reality to come to life, or should I go ahead with augmented and virtual reality? So this is one aspect. Technology changing very fast, cost is very high, decision making is very slow in India, even in corporates and training organizations. It is very slow, which makes technology redundant. By the time we take a call, technology becomes redundant. Second is upskilling is very expensive. Again, it's a costly affair. Trainers are dealing with Gen Z as of now, and soon they will be dealing generation Alpha. And I see everything is changing with the generation. So generation Gen Z was all about touch screens and everything, and Gen Alpha is all about Alexa. So they don't even touch anything. They just give command to a Google Assistant or an Alexa, right? So generation is changing. Lack of adequate training to the staff will become a big problem in future. As one, generation is changing, their learning style is changing, and technology is changing. Unfortunately, every organization, including training organizations, are looking out for ready-made resources out from the market. Nobody wants to invest in upskilling of their own resources. That is the sad state of affairs. So we have been encouraging all our NGO partners, and we are investing in upskilling, but I feel that that is minuscule, and maybe NSDC should focus more on upskilling of trainers in the skilling ecosystem, because NSDC is having that status and position to do that. Then, as you said, Javed, there is a fear also. One, definitely human behavior is attached to it, and resistance to change. There is a fear of unknown devil is always there and will always be there. But I believe with career aspirations, trainers are willing to take that leap, which we have seen. People are willing to go beyond their fear. Second fear is because of wherever technology comes, cybersecurity issues comes up. And with every day we see a new kind of scam coming up wherever we use the technology and wherever we are on the internet. So that is again a side effect of using technology, which is a very big fear in the mind of smaller organizations to embrace technology. So in my opinion, all these challenges are there, but I'm not saying these challenges cannot be overcome. Definitely can be overcome with a strategic approach, effective communication, and giving ongoing support to the trainers. I may be old school, but I firmly believe that role of trainer will always be there, no matter how many simulators come up, what technology comes up. But for learning, you need that personal touch. And for that personal touch, nobody can replace a trainer. That's my firm belief. So, Javed, thanks.
Thank you very much, Sajid, for your beautiful answer. We are now having limited time. I request my panelists to give a quick answer. We have some more questions. We have some questions also from the chat box. Now, I would like to go to Mr. Rishikesh, who is working in an organization which is taking care of umbrella organization for skill development. So, sir, how can trainers ensure that emerging technologies are accessible to our learners? I think you are the most suitable person to answer this question. Rishikesh ji.
Yeah, Javed ji, I think the important aspect is in the skilling ecosystem, there is a requirement of lab equipments and trained trainer in each of the training centers wherever the skilling is going on. So I believe this becomes a requisite when skilling programs happen, that the number of equipments, the trained trainer, quality of training, all that matters when skilling is provided to the candidates. Apart from that, I believe open source technologies need to be used wherever they are, so that a large number of candidates can take up that, and we can actually save a lot of cost in terms of availability of software and other equipment. Some part of the technologies which are available, which can be used and which can be used by trainers, should be provided to the uh, candidates, and some of the content in vernacular also becomes very important. And another thing is maybe a browser based content delivery browser-based training, so that at the client side there is no requirement of any particular hardware or any other equipment, so that candidates can learn and understand, and most of the skilling in virtually or in simulated environment can be provided. I believe with this technology, most of the things can be sorted. Yeah, over to you, Javed.
Yeah, Rishikesh, so is NSDC doing some course or some activity to train the trainers or to train the teachers in this zone, in this arena?
Yeah, so I mentioned to you that there are 36 sectors where we are creating pool of trainers. So we also have a lot of opportunity where the trainers who are listening to us today and other trainers who may be offline can actually get in touch with NSDC, and if maybe based on their background they can take up trainer profile. They can get trained as a trainer or a master trainer in their sectors, for example, logistics, agriculture, aviation, and so on and so forth, so that they can actually contribute to the skilling ecosystem. Yes.
Right, sir. Right, sir. Thank you very much. So we have some questions I would like to ask on behalf of the participants. And I would like Mr. Kannan to answer this question because it is talking about the emerging technologies future. So, sir, what emerging technology or technologies do you foresee having most significant impact on training methods over the next 5 years? Oh, what a thoughtful question it is.
Yeah, sorry. So,
Sir, you are on mute. Yeah.
Yeah, I have unmuted. Yeah, it's actually very difficult to predict this because technology is changing very fast. I will tell a story. When IIT Bombay went on distance education, this was in 1999, we said we will do synchronous. Whereas many people said that synchronous means you'll have to answer the questions live and there will be 100,000 people. How will you answer? And we still went ahead. Then afterwards, we found out that number of questions that people ask is not based on, it is actually based on the content type. Supposing there is a mistake, something is not clear, then 1,000 people will have the question. Then you answer one of them, you have answered 1,000 people. So that way it is unpredictable. Whereas some other people said that because of this problem, we will do only asynchronous. We will, print tape and give it to people and things like that. They used to send it by post. People have to receive it and then they have to play it. Whereas synchronous is a lot better because there is a person in flesh and blood answering your questions, ready to answer your questions. That is a lot closer. So it may appear to be very difficult. So I would say if we can provide personalized learning for everybody, even if they learn by themselves, even if they learn remotely and so on, that will be something extremely useful because there will be some people, as Sajidji pointed out, he likes to read from books. Many of my students don't want to read books. They would only accept what I teach, even if I teach only a part of it. In fact, reading habit is extremely important and we must inculcate. But coming back to the point, there are different types of learners. Some by hands-on, somebody by playing a game, somebody. So there are somebody by reading and stuff like that. So giving personalized learning to all of them and is actually very difficult. And this is something that should be the goal, one of the important objectives of all people who work in this area, because we have a large number of people to be educated. And without education, I would say half our population will be, the gap between the rich and have not is going to increase. We have to quickly bring them on board. They do understand the importance. That's the reason why in India, every mother wants to send their children to, good school, good college, and spend 2 years to prepare for JEE and all kinds of things, because they all understand the importance. But do we provide them with enough tools? I would say we should provide this. In my opinion, this is going to be the important, very useful, whether it is important or not, whether it is going to be extremely useful in our context. Thank you.
Sir, I expect the people like you and IITs keep on doing some more research and provide some good tools to the masses. Right. And I really appreciate your thoughts. You are very clear that working for the bottom of the pyramid is the need of the hour. And I expect from our scientists and people like you to do more and more on this. So, sir, thank you very much. So, dear all, we have a limited time now. These are the questions we were able to ask and take care of it. Now, I request our head of human resources to say a vote of thanks, and also I would request her to share some, takeaways of this session, so that all our, all our students, all our trainers have those takeaways in their mind and they use them in their lives. Before I ask her to start the vote of thanks, I must tell you, our centers, we have 60 centers all across the country, and they all have joined with one single ID. So normally in one center at any given time, we have 80 to 100 students. So, and they are using one ID to attend this program. So that is how we had managed it. So I now request Ms. Payal Joshi, our head HR, to say vote of thanks with takeaways.
Thank you, Javed-ji. On behalf of Adani Skill Development Center, it is my great honor to extend an heartfelt word of thought. Extend a heartfelt word of thanks to everyone who contributed to the success of today's skill enhancement webinar on innovation and emerging technologies and training methods. First and foremost, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our distinguished speakers and panelists. Your expert insights into the latest trends in emerging technologies and innovative training methods have provided invaluable perspectives. The practical applications of various technologies in training that you highlighted will undoubtedly shape the future of workforce. I would like to extend a special thank you to our Executive Director, Mr. Vasant Gadvi, and the CEO, Mr. Jatin Trivedi, for their inspiring presence and thoughtful contributions. To the organization team and the technical support staff, your dedication behind the scenes have ensured a rich experience for all of us today. And finally, I wanted to thank you, our attendees, for your active participation, your thoughts-provoking questions during a Q&A session. I would like to further summarize the important takeaways from today's webinar. We understood the transformative role of technologies in reshaping our training methods. Today's event highlighted how immersive learning tools, including simulators, VRs, AI, can enhance the skill-building experiences. It has also highlighted practical strategies to integrate these emerging technologies into training programs for real-world results, and the need for continued innovation and adaptability in training methodologies to meet the changing demands of the industry. Once again, thank you all for making this event such a rewarding experience. We hope to see you in future events as we continue to explore the ways to innovate and advance skill development. Thank you.
So thank you very much, everyone who have joined this webinar. A special thank to all our panel members, and we look forward your contribution and participation in our future events. We'll keep on doing these events for the benefit of the society, where education and skill development continue as a process where we shape lives. Thank you very much.